Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today's reading is Luke chapter 8, verses 22 to 25. One day Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and set out. As they sailed, he fell asleep. A squall came down on the lake, so that the boat was being swamped, and they were in great danger. The disciples went and woke him, saying, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." He got up and rebuked the wind and the raging waters. The storm subsided and all was calm. "Where is your faith?" he asked his disciples. In fear and amazement they asked one another, "Who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him." Well, this is one of Jesus' great miracles that showed his awesome power. But let's set the scene to see what danger that the disciples were in. The disciples and Jesus had been sailing across the Sea of Galilee, and it was several miles across the sea, so it was pretty deep, and it was large enough for bad weather systems to come crashing down onto the lake, which could happen from time to time, and this was one of them. It was a ferocious storm, a squall. Now, the disciples, some of them were experienced fishermen, so they knew how to sail. But even they were struggling in this storm. And they were also noticing then that as the boat was being swamped, that they were in great danger. So it must have been an awesome storm. They must have been in great danger for these experienced sailormen to be in such fear. And they were in fear, and they were scared. They were really afraid that they were going to die. So there was the problem. So they went to Jesus, scared stiff, saying, "Jesus, wake up, we're going to drown." In other words, in their mind, that's it, it's all over for them. Doesn't matter who Jesus is, he can't do anything much to help. But Jesus gets up, and with just a word, he speaks to the storm and calms it instantly. He rebukes the wind and raging waters, the storm subsides, and all was calm. Now, if you were to do a science experiment of putting water in a bowl, or you could do this in a bath as well, fill a bath with water, and you slosh the water back and forth, you get a good pace going back and forth there. And that's a picture of like the equivalent of the raging waters. Now, if you were to then suddenly stop sloshing the water around, it would still take a good minute or two for the water to properly calm down and be flat and still. But Jesus can calm the raging waves of a sea instantly. Normally after a storm has passed through, you still get the ripples on the sea, you still get larger waves than usual. It takes a little while for things to calm down. It takes a while for the wind to calm down, doesn't it? But here, Jesus can calm the storm instantly just by speaking. Now that's extraordinary power. That's not just some clever trick that somebody can do. No, Jesus is able to stop a storm and calm the sea instantly just with a word. In other words, he has power that nobody else in this world has. He has greater power than even what we have with our technology can manage. Jesus has divine power. Here is person who is clearly God, doing only what only God can do. So Jesus is able to control creation and bring order and restoration here. Well, the disciples, rather than being comforted by this, are in fear and astonishment. They say, "Who is this?" In other words, they hadn't really taken in who Jesus is. Even the winds and the water obey him. They're shocked. Their amazement is so overcoming them that here is a divine person in front of them. That it's quite one thing to pray to God who is distant and see him answer their prayers. It's quite another to have God right there in front of them. And so they have fear and amazement. Well, Jesus says to them, "Why didn't you have faith? Why didn't you see that with him in the boat, they'd have been safe?" In fear, in panic, they were sure they were going to drown. They didn't get who Jesus was. You know, we need to come to the point that the disciples did too, to realise who Jesus is. To come to this point of seeing, wow, Jesus really is God. Because it's when we see him as divine that we're able to know that he really can save us. It's when we realise that he is God in person, come to deal with our sin and to rescue us and make us safe forever, that we can then say, wow, yes, I can be confident in him. So have you come to appreciate that Jesus really is God? Luke has recorded for us eyewitness testimony where Jesus had given clear evidence of his divine, awesome, infinite power. He really is the one who can save us, who can rescue us from the storm that we're in, the storm within our hearts of our sin, the storm of the judgment that is yet to come, the judgment we face, the punishment for our sin. Jesus can save us from all of that. Put your trust in him and he will save you. God bless.